So it's trying to find that balance between, competing to win while at the same time focusing primarily on, developing that young man or the young, boy or young girl in whatever sport that they're playing in. And I think that's probably the biggest, challenge that we face today is trying to find that balance and creating a culture where, yes, we do want the trophies. That's why we have the trophy walls and, our facility in our conference room. And we've been fortunate enough to be very successful over the last 25 years. But we don't chase the trophy. We focus on the process. And, our goal is to have the process lead us to the end result, which is to win and be successful. But to your point, if we don't get that trophy, if we don't make it to the major leagues, we've developed, habits as a result of that process that's going to make us successful people, in life. But it's not easy. It's hard. And that actually is, the primary reason that led me to getting to know Mark Shapiro as well a little bit when he brought the Positive Coaching Alliance to Cleveland. And now I had a similar experience to you in that I had spoken with with their sales representative in Cleveland, Nick, who's a great guy, very passionate about what he does. And he had given me an initial kind of cold call, want to introduce the PCA, Positive Coaching Alliance. They were new to Cleveland, and kind of gave me his elevator speech and what they're about, showed me the website to go to, positivecoach.org. And we checked it out and was impressed, and said, yeah, I'd like to meet and learn more because this is in alignment with what we're trying to do. And they're on a national level, and it's not just baseball. It's all sports. It's, professional coaches and players from throughout the country that believe and serve as a platform, for this organization. So I'll never forget, I was working, driving to one of my accounts for work, and I pulled in the parking lot, and I just was checking my emails before I went in, and I saw Mark Shapiro come through the email, and it's kind of like you do do the double take, like, what? Is this is it a spam email? If I open it, was my phone going to shut down? Because I prior to this, I had no interaction with him. I knew that he had a son that was my son's age and that he was getting into coaching himself. We just never crossed paths to that point. And so, he took it upon himself to reach out to me, here just an average Joe, an average Gary, here as a youth baseball coach and in the area. And he had heard through Nick that we were interested as an organization potentially joining. So he reached out and told me a little bit about, the PCA and himself and his journey with his son and why he believed so much in the organization and what they were doing and how much, why he thought that it would be a great fit for us, and said if I ever want to talk further to give him a call. So I'm like, I'm going to give him a call. Yeah. Mark Shapiro says, give me a call. I'll give you a call. So his secretary set up a call and had a very nice conversation with them. Most down-to-earth guy you can imagine here, for my first interaction with the president of the Cleveland Indians. I think what I learned and learning more about the Indians and their culture of player development. Obviously, there's been knock over the years about the success and attendance, and you get all these issues that are in the media. But when I got to learn a little bit about Mark, I got to really see how he built such a successful culture, because of his values and what he believed in, and the fact that he decided to take over and coach his son's team and be a part of that experience because he wanted his son to have a positive experience, because there's a lot of negative experiences out there, organizations that are highly successful, but their focus is primarily on that trophy and winning at all costs. And that's what led us as an organization to join the PCA. As I believe we were the founding travel baseball partner, the first in the area. And I know the Cleveland Indians are also partnered with the Positive Coaching Alliance, and their mission is to develop better athletes, better people. Which fits right in line with what we're trying to do, obviously.
Saying it a different way, yeah.
And I think, what's great about it, and we've had live workshops in the past, I think their online resources now are fantastic, especially their development zone, because they have resources for parents, players, coaches, and even officials, whether practical videos and resources to help all of us on our path to developing, young men and women. We all need support. We all, as coaches, we all come from different backgrounds. Some of us played high-level high school, some of us played college, minor. Some dads are just there helping out, doing the best they can, to be there and be a part of it. So, that partnership has served as really an anchor for us, a security blanket for us to really reinforce and highlight what we're trying to do and say, hey, it's not just us here as the Stallions. This is a national movement towards focusing on the process, teaching life lessons through sports, and doing it in a positive way, to where we're trying to win, but we're trying to do it the right way by focusing on teamwork and effort, attitude. Sound familiar, right?
Yeah.
It's been a great experience having them on board and being a part of our organization. I think we need to do a better job of really getting that out to the parents and getting them more locked into the resources and what all is available. Because I learned the biggest thing that I learned as a coach, and I prided myself as not being that over emotional screamer, in your face kind of guy.
Yeah.
But man, I could give a nonverbal, you know what I mean? And, especially to my son, as a third base coach, he would make a swing and I'd have this look that, I could cut through a brick wall, with it. Or I'd turn my head away and I'd pace away from him. And, by taking, one of the PCA classes, you learn about the power of nonverbal communication, what it can do. And in a lot of cases, it's more impactful than it is verbally yelling at a kid, because they remember that nonverbal much more than they remember that scream or outburst or yell. A lot of times they tune that stuff out after a while.
Mm-hmm.
But me turning my back on them and just pacing. Now, to me, it was I'm keeping control, right? I'm not screaming or yelling. Or, why'd you swing at that pitch? But I turned my back on them. So what message is that sending as a coach? So how do you learn from that? How do you do something different? So what I found to me to do is have my own internal trigger where instead of turning my back, I'll squeeze my hands. Just, I can look at you and smile and, or keep an okay look, but I'm squeezing my hands as tight as that's my release of keeping control in a more positive way. But, until you get yourself exposed, you don't have that awareness of just some of the small things that can have a tremendous impact on the kids you're coaching. And then you translate that from the parent side of it, and what conversation to have when you're in the car after the game and he just struck out in the bottom of the seventh to lose the game, or he just got rocked on the mound, or he just, went 0 for 10 from the free throw line and your team lost by 10, what to say, how to support them, those resources to me are tremendous and valuable. And that's why we continue our partnership year after year after year and hope that other organizations will do the same. So, if you could speak to your experience and how you guys implement them, that'd be great.
Yeah, no doubt. Outstanding organization doing some great things. And so, from day one when I came on board, Mark had already created this chapter. And so PCA, I don't know how I came across them before I took this role, but you mentioned it. They have outstanding resources and tools. And I like to liken it as whether you're a player, coach, or a parent, we all have this toolbox, or even better, a tool shed. And as a player, you want to add tools to that toolbox or that tool shed that you can use in different instances. Same thing with a coach and same thing with a parent, whether or not it's my son or one of my players just swung and missed at a ball in the dirt, took a horrible swing. What's a tool to be able to handle that? So I'm not hurting the mind or the mindset of this player, doing more harm. That I'm able to just kind of keep them motivated or not to stay positive. And so man, you look at their resource and those workshops, and no doubt they're adding a ton of tools, to your toolbox, whether you're a player, coach or a parent. So, the biggest tool that we use in our programs is that concept of roots, right? They talk about honoring the game and, honor the game, respect the game. It's all the same thing. So the rules of the game, the officials, the opponents, the teammates, and self. And I think that's, one, it's catchy, but what an outstanding principle for any kid at any age when they're getting introduced to organized sports and being part of a team, and then playing any game, whether it's chess, whether it's youth baseball, respecting the rules, opponents, officials, teammates, and then yourself. Huge, because I think when you look at, you've said it a number of times, I've referenced it, a culture. When you're a coach or when you're an organization and you're wanting to create this great culture that is doing all the things and having the same vision and mission that we've talked about. What creates that group flow? It's the common language. It's clear defined goals. And when you look at PCA, I think that's what they offer to an organization to add to whatever else they're doing, or if they don't have that, to create that right away. Because I think the best part about PCA is whether or not you're the 14-year professional career or you've never played baseball in your life, all the principles of PCA, they don't require any of that experience. To understand how to go through that workshop and implement and use those tools, you can control all those things and you can learn that versus, okay, being able to teach a swing. Yes, I can go through coaches training, but if you never really did it, that's gonna be a longer journey to kind of understand and feel everything versus, using right away some of the principles with PCA. And I think that's the best part about at least our partnership is we're no doubt focused on that perseverance aspect and building character. And PCA is great because adding to our ACE mindset, we're adding all the principles that they have and then combining them now with the model of how are we developing fundamentally. And so then for the players in our programs, but also for our programs that are focused on developing the coaches. And so to have both as a coach, a good understanding of teaching and coaching the fundamentals of the game, and then combining them with the tools and principles of PCA is the best possible scenario to creating that, that nurturing development environment to have a positive, fun experience. It's tough to say, hey, to get, to become a Major League Baseball player, that might be their goal, but right, we know that, the chances of that. And so that culture, that environment, I think that helps to right away kind of set the tone there, because now you're hearing roots, now you're hearing learning from mistakes. Mistakes are okay. You're hearing all these things throughout 8U all the way up, right? All the way up through, 16, 17U teams within within an organization, like the Stallions, which I think is really important. Because I think when you look at, if you just have all the PCA and you lack some of the understanding of the fundamental side, and you don't know how to run a practice, or you don't have that outline, what happens is, because that's where I think you see a lot of the coaches at younger levels volunteering, and they know coming from their business, they can organize stuff and they can kind of communicate and do all the things with parents. But then when it comes to organizing a practice, right, they're scrambling. And so all the things they just learned in a PCA workshop, they're just figuring out what am I going to do next in practice and this and that. Now they're not utilizing the 5-to-1 criticism because they're so worried about what do I do next from a practice plan. So that's where I think, with what we're doing and providing that knowledge and providing that development for the coaches is a way that, again, when you look at our mission, how we, can really positively impact, that whole youth, experience playing.
So, in summary, let's say you're at one of your summer camps. I know just about every one of them, if not all of them, are sold out through the summer, have been very popular. I know the one that you do in Strongsville, I think it's been sold out every year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, supported by a lot of Stallions, right? I think we've had a couple of Stallions win MVPs, which is great to hear.
Definitely always the best dressed.
Hey,
So
we try.
Yep.
We try. But at the end of the day, if you have one closing message, that you're going to leave with the players, and then if you had the opportunity to leave with the parents and coaches, what would it come down to for you? I mean, obviously we talked about a lot of different principles and tools, right, in the toolbox to help build that culture and to be successful. But if there was one takeaway message as, player, parent, coach to you, what would be the most important?
You referenced it earlier in talking about winning, in talking about success, and in talking about the process. And so I think if we can redefine what success is, or just define it as achievement of process, I think whether or not you're a player, a coach, or a parent, and so the winning a trophy, winning at all costs, how are we defining success? And for me, defining it as achievement of process is the best way and most effective way to go about it, because regardless of what your goal is, whether it's to start the season, and the reality is, yes, you want to win. You play a game, you want to compete, and you want to win. And PCA is great at talking about. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
There's lessons in winning, and there's lessons in losing.